Empty backfield, 2nd and goal. Cousins to the end zone. Touchdown. Redemption for Chad Beebe.
Hey, you held him to 20 points, man. You gave us a chance at the end, but I got 3 words for you. You like that?
That's right, gentlemen. We actually have some breaking news. I don't know if you guys saw this as we were just starting the show here on Purple Daily. Phil Mackey, Judd Zulgad, and Declan Goff. Yeah, according to multiple high-level NFL sources and sources inside the Vikings, Kirk Cousins has tested positive. Did you guys see this?
No.
Positive for clutch.
Oh,
yeah.
What a tease.
right.
You
Oh,
gotta be kidding me.
Oh,
Hey, you
boy.
held him to 20 points, man. You gave us a chance at the end, but I got 3 words for you. You like that?
That's right.
Oh, boy, did you get us.
Positive
Hey, play
for
the Zim
clutch.
thing, man.
You like that?
Play the Zim taste.
Like how this tastes?
Did Zim give
Tell
us
me
a
what you-
revision on this yesterday?
So I heard it all week long, right? 0-9 on Monday night. You like how this tastes?
Yeah, we do.
You like
That's
that?
right. Love how this tastes.
Oh, boy.
And today, it's a great day to breathe in that fresh, crisp air in the state of Minnesota. And it's a great day to be a Minnesota Vikings fan and a fan of Kirk Cousins. And if you're like me and you've had unwavering belief in the Vikings starting quarterback all season long,
Never a moment of doubt from you.
never a
Never a
moment
doubt.
of doubt, then you're feeling pretty good today. So I don't know about you guys. Maybe you guys are going to sit here and probably have to apologize to the audience, but I have never wavered on my guy, Kirk Cousins.
The audience, forget the audience. Let's talk about Kirk. We owe Kirk a deep, our sincerest apologies for, he's morphed into Montana and Favre at his most brilliant. Come on.
Listen, I'll tell you what. Joe Montana was fine, but if there's a minute 50 left on the clock and no timeouts, and you need a drive down the field against that vaunted Panthers team, I know who I'm taking. My guy.
Not Teddy, that's for sure.
Kirk Cousins.
Not Teddy. You're done with
Just don't
Teddy.
give him the kicker, and you can do it.
You're done with Teddy.
Oh, we'll get to Teddy on this episode. I'm sure he'll come up in Viking
I think I know
statements
I think
today.
I know what's coming up on that one. All right.
Should we get into them? Viking statements? All right, let's fire up the tunes. This is what we do after every Vikings game the next day on Purple Daily. You can find the full episode of Vikings Vent Line, by the way, which every week it's just becoming more fun to see new fans jumping in. We bring Vikings fans into the show with us, into the video.
We got a song yesterday.
We did.
Yeah, Pedro wrote a song. It's amazing. So we've had Chancey light an actual dumpster fire. We've had Pedro sing a song acoustic for Kirk Cousins. You never know what's going to happen on the most interactive show in Minnesota sports. Vikings Vent Line, part of Purple Daily podcast and YouTube channel. But let's go around the room a bunch of times here. Bears Vent Line on the horizon here on Purple Daily. But Judd Zulgad, start us off.
All right. Statement number 1 off the Vikings win over the Panthers. Kirk Cousins is better when he does not have his favorite receiver.
Wow.
Minus Thielen in that game yesterday, gentlemen. 7 different players. Johnson, Jefferson, Rudolph, Beebe, Cook, Dillon, and Conklin all caught passes, including a game-winning drive in which Kirk Cousins hit an array of different targets. And guess who wasn't quite sure where the ball was going? The Carolina Panthers. I guarantee you, if number 19 had been on that field, the Carolina Panthers would have said, when in doubt, Kirk Cousins is going to throw to Thielen. But without that security blanket, without that safety net present, Kirk Cousins became more dangerous because he was forced to move the ball around, and he kept everybody, his teammates, and most importantly, the opposing defense, off balance. And I honestly think, and this is not saying that Thielen is not a good player, in all seriousness, he's a very good player, but I honestly think having to move the ball around and not being as certain about where it's going was advantage Vikings.
Yeah, I'm having trouble unpacking this one because he's amazing at his job, Adam Thielen, but it does seem like Kirk glums onto him instead of just like, what's the open read, right? I think it's his first thought in those situations is Adam Thielen's my guy. It's my safety blanket. Offensive line doesn't give me much time, so I'd just rather cut to the chase and get to Adam Thielen. But yeah, against Dallas even, it's like he's trying to force the ball to Thielen in a tight spot.
Yep.
And we see that oftentimes. This has been something that happened, like Matt Stafford would glum on to Megatron, to Calvin Johnson. And you could argue that Dante Culpepper would glum on to Randy Moss. And
it's hard,
it happens
and it's hard
sometimes.
not to. I get that.
Yeah. So Adam Thielen and the videos that his wife was putting out on social media yesterday of him just like in his shorts with his kids watching the game in the living room like any number of Vikings fans would was pretty hilarious. So, all right, I'll give you this one.
Football.
Kirk Cousins yesterday did the second most clutch thing he's done in 3 years as a Viking. Number one is the throw to Adam Thielen toward the end of that Saints playoff victory. That is his probably most clutch best moment of his career. But what he did yesterday, and let's face it, like I know that it was a below 500 Panthers team, and you know he still has a lot of proving to do in terms of the ultimate goal of Super Bowl. But the Vikings playoff hopes were on the line with 1:50 to go and no timeouts yesterday. Because if they lose that game, like they might not get to the playoffs even winning that game. But if they lose that game, it's for sure over. But under 2 minutes left, no timeouts, you're down by 6, so you have to score a touchdown. And the word that we have continued to use on this show is overcome, right? Your job as a highly paid starting franchise quarterback is to overcome the crappy things that happen throughout the course of a game and a season and steal games from time to time. Mm-hmm. You had a dropped punt. You had a mediocre offensive line. You had Dalvin tweaking his ankle. You had 2 Panthers defensive touchdowns in a 10-second span. It's not an unreasonable request to ask your franchise quarterback to overcome things like that happen in almost every NFL game. I mean, the Chiefs, they fumble like once a game. Like even the best teams in the NFL, things happen to them. And if you want to win a Super Bowl, you have to do this type of thing on a regular basis. And Kirk Cousins in the early part of the fourth quarter against Dallas last week, and in the late part of the fourth quarter against the Carolina Panthers, he overcame the bad things that were happening. He put the team on his back in the last 2 minutes against Carolina, and he was clutch. And he deserves credit for that. And, I mean, some of us have seen it all along.
All us naysayers.
If you're a Kirk Cousins guy,
we're taking in the shorts right
like
now,
myself, you've seen the light for weeks and weeks, and Kirk just needed a little extra motivation.
Fan since the Michigan State days, Phil Mackey.
Absolutely.
Go Sparty.
I'm wearing Sparty boxer briefs right now, which I'll show you if you stick around until the end of the episode.
That's unfortunate. I'm going to have to get going
There's a well-placed number 8, and you can stick around until the end of the episode.
Yeah, we'll save that for our porn channel. Our soon-to-launch Score North porn channel.
Mackey and Judd, onlyfans.com.
That's right.
Starting up next week. Subscribers only. So Kirk Cousins, my statement is this is the second most clutch thing Kirk Cousins has done as a Minnesota Viking. Declan.
Yeah, mine is my statement is spread the love. So with Adam Thielen out yesterday, what was going to happen with Justin Jefferson? Are they going to double team Justin Jefferson? And then what happens with those receivers underneath? The Vikings, although have 2 of the most dynamic receivers in the league, could they have guys on their depth step up? And they did. So 4 players with 7 targets or more, 4 players with 7 receptions or more. BC Johnson showed up. Chad Beebe showed up. As much as it pains me to say, he did redeem himself. He redeemed himself on a muffed punt. The Vikings had a really good case to lose that football game, down 11 points going into the fourth quarter. And Teddy, who could have daggered them on first and goal on first and goal situation, wasn't able to do it. But the Vikings were able to spread the love across their offense, and they deserve praise for that. So spread the love, Vikings offense. Good job, Gary Kubiak.
Kenny Chesney would be very happy with
yes, he would.
That title right there. Back to Judd Zulgad.
Statement number 2 from me, it involves a player who we've talked about, but we probably don't talk enough about on a weekly basis. Eric Kendricks has been the Vikings' best player on defense in 2020, and I don't know that it's particularly close.
He's legit.
12 tackles again against the Panthers. In run defense, if there's a guy that comes up and stops the run the most, I think it's Kendricks. Had his 3rd pick in 3 games or 2nd pick in 2 games on Sunday.
And they're all like, it's not like some
nice
of these linebacker
plays.
picks or a ball gets tipped, right?
Yeah.
He's like diving for these picks.
He is as close to a hybrid defensive lineman / linebacker / safety as I think that you could possibly come. But the Vikings still have certainly some, not a ton now, of talented players on the defensive side of the football. But I really think that if you had to pick one, it's not that close for this year. Eric Kendricks has been outstanding. He continues to be. And this team's defense would be, in my opinion, completely lost if he's taken out of the equation.
He is graded. I'll give you a piggyback statement. One of my statements today was going to be Eric Kendricks is the best 4-3 linebacker in the NFL right now.
Might be, yeah.
Coverage, tackling, everything. Pro Football Focus has the seventh best linebacker in the NFL behind David Long, Bobby Wagner, Tanner Viejo, Nate Hall, Julian Stanford, and Miles Jack, but they're all like kind of in a bunch there.
Mhm.
And Eric Kendricks is like second in coverage ranking. So yeah, like every week it's like he makes a game-changing play of some kind and gives the Vikings momentum back or puts them in a spot where they can come back and win a game. So Declan.
Yeah, mine was Vikings defense, who are you? I'm trying to figure out what the hell it is because yesterday they really only gave up 13 points. I mean, you got to remember the two strip sacks that happened on Kirk, that's 14 points that went the other way. So the defense itself only gave up 13 points. At the same time, though, they gave up a ton of yards. They combined for 17 missed tackles yesterday. That's the most ever under the Mike Zimmer era as a Vikings head coach. And then you have guys like Anthony Harris, who was the best safety in the NFL basically last year in Pro Football Focus. He's come down to earth. DJ Wanham and has shown nice moments, but is he someone who's really going to be here long term and be on this defensive line, creating more pressures in 2021? The rookie corners, it's going to be a slow bake, but at the same time, I'm just still trying to figure out what the hell the Vikings defense is. Are they trending in the right direction, or is this just who they are? It's going to be honestly a below average defense, and you're just going to have to ride it out for the rest of 2020. So Vikings defense, who are you?
Well, I think it's going to be a below average defense the rest of this year because there's no Danielle Hunter coming back magically to save this defense.
Yep.
But I think going into next year, that's the interesting conversation is, does Danielle Hunter, there's a lot of things there. Does he come back healthy from the neck? Is there going to be a contract standoff like Ian Rappaport has been reporting this year? But if he comes back, and if Michael Pierce comes back, Anthony Barr, I don't even know if he's an upgrade. I think you should probably explore just sort of saying goodbye to him.
I think he's gone. Your
cornerbacks get a little more experienced.
I think one of them strikes me as a player. The more I
agree.
I watch him, I think he's good. I think he's good. But yeah, I think this defense, if things go according to plan, and I think Barr's probably gone, I think this defense in 2021 is back to being solid. Because right now, Dex is right. They're really spotty. I mean, the missed tackles are really frustrating. Really. But I just keep going back to this point. The interior of that defensive line is not good. And Michael Pierce should help that a lot.
Yeah. And, if I don't think the defense is going to just overnight become the number one unit in the league like it was in 2017, but if it can get back to like fringe top 10 and they can get after quarterbacks better because they have a couple veterans returning.
Yep.
And you can add in the fact that your offense has taken a huge step forward because of Justin Jefferson and, maybe your offensive line keeps you better.
Your guy becomes a
let's
perennial Pro Bowl quarterback.
Let's get to the next statement, okay? He is my guy and always has been.
That's why your
Kirk Cousins.
That's why you got your hat.
And I just want to take a minute here in Viking statements on Purple Daily to dislocate my shoulder, pat myself on the back with this next statement.
Here, I'll twist your arm back there so you can get it fully.
Sure, be great. Let me stretch out the rotator cuff
extended.
Here. I am the Kirk Cousins whisperer, Phil Mackey.
You're the life coach, dude.
I am the motivator.
You're the life coach.
I am the hitch. I am the Will Smith to Kirk Cousins, Kevin James.
Yes.
The straw that stirs the Vikings drink.
Yes.
Before yesterday's game.
You are.
2 hours beforehand. Right around the time where players might be sitting at their lockers, scrolling through social media, right before they really lock in for the game, right? I tweeted some inspiration to Kirk Cousins, reminding him of his duties as a highly paid franchise quarterback. And I'll keep going back to the word of the season, which is overcome. You are paid to overcome your team's imperfections sometimes.
Yep.
Not all of them. That's why but the offensive line, but the defense, but the injuries. And we have said, because we have such faith
you can leave me out.
Kirk Cousins.
You just take the credit.
Yes, all those things are true. Those imperfections are true. And sometimes you just need your guy at that position to overcome them, right? And so Kirk traditionally performs well when circumstances are great around him. A run game, play action, playing with a lead, all those things. When the pressure is mostly low in terms of not like linebacker blitz pressure. I mean like pressure, magnitude is low, right?
Yes.
But when you need him the most, traditionally, he falters. And when defenses can eliminate Dalvin from the equation, like at the end of the Dallas game, it's kind of a wrap. And Kirk hasn't been able to overcome those things. And people kept saying, as I'm fighting with them on Twitter over the weekend, Show us the proof. You can't just say those things. And so I went to stathead.com before the game. When the Vikings are behind by 1 score or tied, fourth quarter overtime, I split those into 2 different marks, okay? Early in the fourth quarter, so prior to the 4-minute mark, Kirk's passer rating is 117 going into yesterday. 8th in the NFL over the 3 years he's been a Vikings quarterback. Mm-hmm. When you get late in the fourth quarter, when Dalvin's no longer a running factor, right? Under 4 minutes, Kirk's passer rating over the last 3 years has been 53.5 in those 1 score behind or tied situations. 43rd in the NFL. And so I merely pointed out these facts before the game, not as a way of trashing Kirk Cousins.
Oh, no.
As a way of supporting Kirk Cousins, motivating Kirk Cousins.
Yep.
Showing him what he's capable of doing.
Bravo.
What this team can do late in games, become more like those top quarterbacks in those situations. And by golly, he did just that yesterday.
You are a modern day Herb Brooks.
Wow. You
used where Brooksy walked in to the room in Lake Placid, though, and gave one of the great speeches. Their time is done.
A bruise on the thigh is a long way from the heart.
You use social media. You use social media to pull the Rob McClanahan on Kirk Cousins.
You gotta bum me.
Right. That's what you are. You are a modern day Herb Brooks. All right.
I'm going to start holding my own Minnesota sports Tony Robbins seminars.
Yeah,
okay.
Walk on coals.
Okay.
Just walk on these hot coals. It won't hurt Zim. Not one bleeping bit. All right. Statement 3 from me is this. This guy's a marvelous player, and he is he has spent much of the season in the MVP consideration, I think, and certainly discussion. But Dalvin Cook has to hold on to the football. Last 2 games, 2 fumbles. I think he is at 3 fumbles lost because there was one in the Titans game as well, which is a single season career high for Cook. Fumbles come in bunches. We saw them with AP. They can be absolutely devastating to your team. I know that his workload is out of control at times because he got hurt yesterday. It wasn't so bad. But the point being is, I don't care. The one thing that you can't do is fumble the football. Dalvin Cook, my statement, you need to hold on to the football.
Can I give a piggyback statement?
Go for it, because I'm going to do the same thing.
Dalvin Cook.
Wow, this is going to be in my back.
Dalvin Cook might be spending a little too much time around Xavier Rhodes.
That was a great point by that caller.
Just going to throw that out.
That was brought up in the press box, too.
Oh, was it?
Oh, yeah.
Funny.
It became very apparent.
It was a Paul Pierce situation. You know, watching on TV, they really said nothing about the injury until like 3 minutes after they got back from the commercial break. And it was like, oh, Dalvin's intent. And I'm watching some of the reporters on Twitter who were at the game.
Yep.
Judd was at the game, and it was like, he's not putting pressure on his right leg. Oh, my God.
They put him in the tent, the blue tent.
They're like walking him off the field. Like Paul Pierce got carried off the court. And 5 minutes later, he's like sprinting up and down the sidelines and like asking to go back in the game.
Yeah.
Xavier Rhodes did that all the time. Oh, my God, I got burned, and now I have a compound fracture. Oh, God, there's blood everywhere. Oh, my God. And then he's back on the field like 2 minutes
compound
later.
fracture of my ego. Somebody, my ego's at the 50-yard line. You're right.
Amazing. All right, Declan, sorry. Go ahead.
So my statement is more of no Dalvin, no problem. So yesterday, 22 touches for Dalvin Cook.
Oh, don't tell him that.
22 touches for Dalvin Cook, 18 carries, 4 receptions. He got stuffed, 3.4 yards per carry, wasn't able to get much going on the ground. And the Vikings were playing from behind for the majority of that game. But when it mattered most, Kirk Cousins rose up and they were able to win a football game with Dalvin Cook being ineffective. And we have yet to really see that this season. Everything that the Vikings have won, every time the Vikings have won this season, it's been because Dalvin Cook's been running out of his mind and it sets up the play action and all the bootlegs. But then when the game gets on the line and it's in the fourth quarter, you're going to be able to overcome this. Can your offense regroup and refocus and figure out a way to win? And they did. So no Dalvin Cook, no problem.
I like it.
Zim doesn't like that comment.
That's
Not
fine.
one bit.
That's
Not
fine.
one bit.
It's a team game.
You didn't like my defense comment either, but
It's a team
we're
game.
on the same page right now.
All right, I'll give the next. I think we're all over the board here, so I'll give the next one just so we can get into it with Declan here.
Yes, this is what I want.
Teddy Bridgewater was terrible yesterday. Let's just face the facts. All right, I've been a Teddy supporter for years and years and years.
You're a Ted head.
I am a Ted head. Well, today I am. I'm a Kirk head. Let Kirk cook, baby. That's where I'm at. But Teddy Bridgewater, I think he's a great leader. I think he's a good quarterback. I don't think, and part of it might be the injury, and part of it might be like Carolina's just not a great team. There's not a great roster surrounding him. He had a couple weapons on offense, but Christian McCaffrey's out with an injury. Teddy Bridgewater just sort of blended in with the rest of the mess yesterday. And in fact, there was times where he could throw, an accurate ball to the pylon here or a deep pass over there, and or a wide open receiver in the end zone, whatever it may be, and he could have put a couple more points on the board. Mm-hmm. I don't think he raised the water level for the Panthers yesterday. He had a great throw at the end to put them sort of close to field goal range, but I don't know, man. $20 million for what we saw yesterday. I've been a Teddy guy, but that was not very impressive. So Declan, defend your guy. Go ahead.
Yeah, I will. I thought first off, he had a horrible first couple series. 1 for 7, I think it was, Judd. I mean,
2 for 9.
2 for 9.
21 yards.
Got off to a pretty terrible start.
Yeah.
Then rebounded pretty well. I mean, the fact he finished 19 of 36, that suggests that, all right, he was able to settle in a little bit more. He became a lot more of the Teddy Bridgewater that he typically is, some dink and dunk, and then also hit a couple nice deep shots as well. And I would still take this guy over Kirk Cousins right now. I went 100% for the contract reasons, for the leadership reasons. He does everything that I want this quarterback to do, and he's perfect for this Vikings offense right now. He is absolutely perfect for it. And he would have 2 wide receivers in Thielen and Jefferson. He has a great running back in Dalvin Cook. The system is literally tailored for a Teddy Bridgewater offense. And he led them down the field. His kicker screwed him again. I guess like if Mike Zimmer hates kickers, I don't know if Teddy ever does because he's such a likable guy. But he's got to be the second guy.
But he's got to hit the touchdown pass there.
He does.
Like you can dagger that game completely with that pass.
And that's where I do have to admit you completely screwed the pooch on that one, Teddy. I mean, you had him wide open on 3rd and goal, and you weren't able to do it.
Yeah.
And then they also kind of screwed him too with the play calling that last series. That's not really too much of a Teddy fault, but I would still take
him. OC. Teddy's blaming people now. What happened?
For him, he should. You should blame him.
I was
pointing.
On one hand, here's the thing though: the last couple series, or I'm trying to think, it was just that last one series before and after the 2-minute warning. I had a problem with the Panthers strategically not just running the ball to milk clock because they left like 50 or 60 seconds on the board for the Vikings.
I agree with that.
But that's the offensive coordinator putting faith into Teddy Bridgewater saying, listen, I'm going to call a couple pass plays here because I trust you. And both were incomplete. Mm-hmm. And part of that's on Teddy. Like if you're him, you should take a sack. When you're that deep, like you should take a sack before you should throw an incomplete pass. Or literally like give yourself up in the field of play to save 40 seconds instead of throwing an incomplete pass.
But that 3rd down pass, the guy was right there too. Like that pass has to be complete. That's a terrible throw.
It was an awful throw.
That's just a bad throw.
So I don't know. Maybe he was nervous playing in front of no fans at US Bank Stadium.
Can I get one more in?
Oh, we have plenty of time.
Okay.
Plenty of time.
So because of how the Vikings have come back now, I see there's basically 2 factions. One is you see, we're good. We're going to do something. Take it. You negatives, you naysayers, take that. And then there's the ones who look at a game like Sunday's win and say, that was really flawed. I hope the Vikings clean house. Okay. Statement. Mike Zimmer and Rick Spielman, no matter what you think, are completely safe for next year. They're not going to be fired. There will not be a discussion of them being fired. They are completely safe. The Bears and Detroit are going to or have already started to clean house. But I know we talked about this and ruminated on and speculated on the safety of the coach and GM at various times when this team was 1-5. They are safe. Let's end any talk about changes. There will be no changes made to the key positions by the Vikings.
And are you talking just GM coach, or because I actually think there's still a discussion about like San Francisco calling on Kirk.
Oh, no. I'm saying I still see tweets saying clean house, Spielman should go, Zim should go. I'm saying just GM coach for 2021 are going nowhere.
Yeah. I'll give you one
Not
here.
Kirk.
Kind of plays into.
Although you don't want Kirk traded. He's your best buddy now.
He's my guy.
I mean, you're wearing a hat. You're probably going to lunch with him.
Yeah, that's right. Who's got 2 thumbs and a clutch quarterback in tow?
Loves weird meat.
Just don't ask him to put his mask on. And you guys will be fine.
That little valve, it'd be a whole thing.
Lunch.
Final Viking statement for me. The Vikings now have the option based on what happened this weekend in the NFL. The Vikings now have the option of catching either Arizona or Tampa Bay for a wild card spot. The Vikings are just one game behind the Cardinals and the Buccaneers in the loss column. The Buccaneers are just entering their bye week now. So if the Vikings beat the Jaguars, they will be one game behind Tampa going into that head-to-head matchup. So a lot of things can happen here in the next 2 weeks. The Cardinals schedule includes the rest of the way 2 games against a really good Rams team, a game at the Giants, and they've won 3 straight. The 49ers are still very formidable, and the Eagles are still fighting for a division title. So no action, like no gimme games in there for the Cardinals. The Buccaneers schedule includes the Vikings, 2 games against the Falcons, and they've shown some life lately, and the Lions, who just fired their coach and are probably just going to lay down the rest of the year. But there's some games that those teams could lose, and the Vikings have a favorable schedule the rest of the way, including a head-to-head with one of the teams they're chasing. So options have opened up the last couple weeks for the Vikings to make the playoffs. And I think I saw on 538 from Arif Hassan did the research on this. If the Vikings win their next 2 games over Jacksonville and then against Tampa Bay, their playoff percentage jumps to like 70% or something close to 70%.
I think they're at 30 right now, according to 538.
Interesting.
All they need is Kirk to just be the wizard that he's been the last 2 weeks, and this team's going long ways.
Yeah, it's amazing.
At least to a first-round playoff game.
You guys had no faith. in the
No, we
starting
just didn't.
quarterback.
I mean, can you believe we doubted?
I think it was in June that I said someone was better than Tom Brady, and it's looking like that's trending in the right direction. So
Yeah, and your Brady prediction right now is looking pretty good.
I mean, Tom Brady did throw a couple magical deep passes yesterday. If you ignore the interceptions,
Brady, between you two guys with Brady for Mackey and Teddy for Declan, you know what? Just put the Kirk glasses on and be done with it. The Vikings got the best quarterback.
Let's talk about a real quarterback. The one we saw in Chicago last night, or actually was in Green Bay last night for Chicago.
It doesn't matter. He might as well have been at Soldier Field.
The only other thing better than a Vikings victory that moves them closer to the playoffs is a devastating loss by either the Packers or the Bears, and we were guaranteed to see one of those, barring a tie last night. So courtesy of our friends on ESPN 1000 and the Score 670 in Chicago, this is Bears Vent Line on Purple Daily.
Trubisky has the confidence of a grade schooler waiting to see if he'll be allowed to be the guy to sharpen the pencils for the teacher. He looked like an expectant father sitting on the bench in the first half, waiting his turn while watching Rodgers, who was showing us what it is to be an NFL quarterback. I'm convinced that Trubisky can't even read a comic book, let alone an NFL defense. It quickly came back to me how athletic, but inept he is as an NFL QB.
This is an absolute embarrassment. I mean, George Halas was the face of the NFL. This team was so respected, and we always get
100 years
just
ago.
our butts handed to us on national TV against the Packers. It's disgusting, and I'm sick of it. And I'm going to say this: if Mr. Pace and Mr. Nagy are around next year, I'm done with this team. I'm going to seriously walk away. I'm sick of this, because if these guys are going to be in charge of drafting another quarterback, how in the world could the McCaskies even allow Pace to be put in that position? Because you know that's what's going to happen.
Is Matt Nagy still going to be the coach in like a week? How is he?
Well, why is he still a coach right now
He's
as we
upset today,
record
too.
this? He's what?
His Zoom calls are something today.
Whoa, what's going on?
He was calling out players for not being tough enough, and
Oh,
It's just
man.
over.
pretty
It's
good.
over.
It's just over. Just fire him.
It's amazing.
You were 5-1.
Because what did you see tonight? What did you see tonight, Mr. Game, Mr. Miller? What did you see tonight? You saw an ineptitude quarterback that had 2 fumbles. He couldn't complete a first down to save his life. And you have the temerity to talk about how great he is. Listen, you guys, I really like your station, but I'm going to call your judgment card. If you don't honestly come out after this call and talk about the flaws of Trubisky, I honestly question your integrity for the game.
Your what?
I like having listened to 0 ESPN 1000 at all this year. Are there really hosts that are defending Mitchell Trubisky as a starting quarterback?
So did they
Is that
get
guy
on?
right?
I was going to say, did they get on the show after the game too? I mean, what were you going to say about his performance last night? It was pathetic.
somebody's going to have to really explain this, because when the Bears defense looks like they totally quit, and then Tony Dungy is giving like praises for every little small things that Mitch has done that he should be doing as a fourth-year quarterback, and the bar is set so low. This is a national embarrassment if you're the Chicago Bears.
That guy's voice actually frightens me. Like, that guy sounds like he made that call while either A, sharpening a knife or polishing up his gun.
He has a point, though. Dungy
But
felt
just the
so
cadence.
bad.
Dungy was like, oh, Trubisky's out.
Look, he really got the 5 steps. He counted the 5 steps right on that drop back. It was great. He was just trying to praise him for anything.
Dungy's such a nice guy. He couldn't bring himself to say, this is a joke and this guy sucks.
Yeah. Dungy also, who had Peyton Manning in his prime as his starting quarterback, too. So he knows what good quarterbacking
At one
actually
point in
looks
time,
like.
he brought up Trent Dilfer. He's like, when I was in Tampa Bay, we drafted Trent Dilfer. And then he tried to compare the fact that Dilfer went on to win a Super Bowl, which, of course, was completely because that Ravens defense was so good. He was trying to draw a parallel that Mitch Trubisky still might have a great career like Trent Dilfer did.
Didn't the Ravens in that regular season go like a month without scoring an offensive touchdown? I think that happened.
I think the Bears right now, including the Cordell Patterson kick return against the Vikings to start the second half, I think they've scored something like 14 or 21 third quarter points all season. It might be 14.
It's amazing. So, well, there's your Bears vent line today and your Viking statements, and really looking forward to the rest of this. You know, Cousins calls it a roller coaster ride, but I think it's safe to say the roller coaster is only going to keep going up this season.
I
boys.
remember when it was between Kirk and Teddy, Phil, and you kept saying, get rid of Teddy. He's not that good. Kirk is the answer.
And I told you when they signed him in 2018, no, it's the third year in which it's all going to click for Kirk.
So don't
you
expect
guys have to have
Super Bowl.
patience with him. You can't get too down on him. It's just going to take a little while, and eventually he's going to be toppling
And
vaunted
Declan
teams
was like,
the
no,
Panthers.
keep Teddy. And you just
Keep
kept
Teddy.
saying, don't be a Ted head. Be a Kirk head.
Oh, Theodore.
Declan, go get a couple extra Corona hard seltzers.
I drank them all.
drink
They're gone.
the tears
Well,
of Teddy
you'll be stopping
Bridgewater.
at the liquor store on the way
I
home
will.
tonight. So I'm not worried about you.
The sparkling tears of Teddy Bridgewater, the 5th flavor of Corona hard seltzer are coming out next week. All right, that's a wrap on Purple Daily, Apple, Spotify, scorenorth.com, and also youtube.com/Purple Daily Podcast. See you guys.